Sup, Patricianalist? How's it going? Just gonna wait for a few minutes. Wait till people get in. Let me see the calendar for a bit. What's the calendar looking like? Sup, Chevy? How's it going? Google Calendar. So, I don't know if you watch Netflix, The Naked Director, but I've only seen 4 episodes so far. It never seems me astound me of the central themes of cuckitude, degeneracy, and modern day enslavement. Wait, what is The Naked Director about? Is it about Japan? Let me show you guys something. So you guys know I'm still writing my thing. It's 16,000 words now. But I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. Um and I'm kind of like organizing it in my mind as I'm writing too. I didn't really like outline it before I started writing. I just kind of like it is somewhat stream of consciousness, and I'm kind of going back and restructuring it in a way, and kind of figuring out where the pieces connect. Basically what I've written so far is kind of like a exploration first into the history of Japanese imperialism, and how that kind of like, how kind of America took the baton of that, and the comfort women stuff. And then it kind of goes into, so it kind of follows more of a chronological organization structure in the beginning. And then it kind of goes into Japanese pornography. It does talk a little bit before, Japanese fascism, obviously, because that started before, but only kind of like to talk about the roots and like how modern Japanese pornography kind of like came up through that, and that effect on American kind of like consciousness. So I do run through the American side first of like American propaganda and what that looks like, with WMAF throughout like several generations of American history, right? Because WMAF was different in these different kind of generations, and you'll see why. And then I go kind of into the pornography thing, but like the general history of it. So I kind of like take care of, after the imperialism piece. I kind of take care of like, okay, what are the American propagandists saying? Now, what are the Japanese people kind of like showing in their pornography, and how does that bleed into Western consciousness as well? And I think the last part is just gonna be like, okay, so what are the effects? How does that manifest, or what do these relationships look like? I kind of, I don't know if you guys read the article I wrote, but um, it talks a lot about the kind of like kind of like the late 2010s era, where there was starting to be conversations about this. I don't know if you guys know about the Celeste Ng incident in 2018 and all that stuff. I write more about like, yeah, like liberal media feminists talking about WMAF and all this other stuff. And I kind of didn't really want to rehash that, because I think, first of all, only like a niche audience of Asian Americans really know any of those characters anyway. I almost feel like it's somewhat of like this was a conversation that was only held with with a very few amount of people, so it's almost like kind of like insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Um, and not only that, I already tread that water already, so I'm just kind of like, well, if I'll link it below, and I'll mention it obviously. But as far as kind of like those kinds of like culture liberal feminist people, first of all, well, the second thing is that they're all irrelevant today. They have no power, right? Like even Celeste Ng, who was like this huge writer. Sup, Holy Cow, sup, Course 6 Beaver, sup, David Tay, how's it going? Just kind of like yapping a little bit before I get started, but about what I've been working on. And so after all that, I'm going to kind of pretty much talk about, you know, Wasians, right? Because that is the ultimate conclusion of WMAF, right? Like what is the result? That's the result, right? Like and kind of like, you know, now we're going to be talking about some heavy stuff, you know, about like Elliot Rodger and the growth of the incel movement, which again also had its origins in Japan as well. So every aspect of the WMAF mind virus. Oh, it's not going to be a article, Course 6 Beaver. It's going to be a video that I will be making. I very much plan to be. I always say that this is my main. I guess like every time I try to top myself, but maybe that's why I lose motivation, because every time I think I made something great, nothing happens with it. So I'm just kind of like, well, what's the point of putting all this effort into something if nobody fucking... But, you know, I actually put my script, the Breaking Bad script, in the DeepSeek AI, and DeepSeek AI was like, dude, this is it. You fucking landed on something. I have no idea why this doesn't have like 1 trillion views. So I'm like, okay, at least I have some objective validation of what I'm making. And the other thing with this, I'm just kind of like, with this specific video, like WMEF, I think not only is it interesting to me because of the content, you know, like, because, you know, Breaking Bad, you know, I'm very obsessed with it, but, you know, I understand that not everyone is as obsessed with Breaking Bad to the extent that I am, right? It's kind of like a very rare person who has as much interest in a TV show as I do. I was talking with my sister recently, and today actually, and so when I was diagnosed with autism, you know, 5 years ago, the psychiatrist kind of asked like my mom and my sister some questions about my childhood and like how they saw me and whatever. So I asked my sister, like, you know, when I was young, like, so I asked my mom and my sister both of these questions. I was just kind of like, so when I was younger, did you think I was like a normal kid? My mom said yeah, because she was like, well, I didn't really have anything to compare you with. You were my son, so I thought that was normal. I was like, all right, I guess, you know, all 2-year-olds count from 1 to 100 and just randomly shout out fucking words that they're reading. But, you know, whatever. My sister said something like, no, I knew you were fucking weird. She was like, when you were like 9 years old, you bought the Home Alone 2 video. You watched it all the time. You bought the Talk Boy. You got the fucking Talk Boy. You watched it all the time. You just recited the entire movie. You know, all the fucking time. And I was like, oh, started then, huh? Because I remember doing that with The Matrix, right? I would watch The Matrix when I was around, you know, 15, 16 years old. And I would watch it every day while I was doing homework in high school. And I would remember how to do all the choreographed fight scenes. You know, I could do the whole fucking movie, you know, and you know, I've told these stories before, just kind of like, but, you know, I'm almost like, with this specific WMAF video, I'm like, it's a love-hate relationship because I'm just kind of like, fuck, like I don't want to fucking talk about this. I thought, because like the ending is gonna have the so now what, right? And that's what I'm gonna say. Like K-pop and China's rise is kind of changing the calculus of all that. So all of this is kind of like a changing phenomenon already, but this is how it even fucking existed. This is how it happened. And yeah. I guess like part of me is like, you know what? I think I've been delaying writing this and making this for the longest time because I was just like, I just want to fucking move on. But I just feel like now, 16,000 words in, and I'm seeing the finish line, and I'm just kind of like, all right. As I'm doing it, as I'm researching it, I'm coming up with like different ways in how to like visualize and understand the WMAF mind virus, and I'm just kind of like, okay, now I fully like throughout this whole experience, now I feel like I fully understand it, and B, that I don't know, I'm the only one that actually fully understands it. And so if that's true, I'm the only one who could actually make this video. Um, you know, it seems to be the case a lot of the time. Like I don't want to like, self-exceptionalize. Because that devolves into subjective idealism and great man theory, etc., etc. The Nietzschean Ubermensch kind of like de-evolution, when you kind of like blow smoke up your own ass. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, objectively speaking, somehow, and that's the thing too. Like I don't. It's not like I don't do well with Asian women, right? Like I'm do okay for myself. It just hasn't panned out like in an actual marriage, unfortunately. Um, but because that's the main thing. Like people are like kind of like, oh, you just want to get your dick wet, blah blah blah, whatever. You're like, you're just an ugly incel, and just kind of like, you know, that's why I didn't want to fucking make this, because like it's inevitably, no matter what I fucking make, those accusations are always gonna come, and I'm just kind of like so fucking. It's not that I care that people call me that or whatever. It's just like so tired, It's just so like intellectually dishonest. Stuff that we've all been kind of like facing from Asian women for the past 30, 40 years, right? Like just total like intellectual dishonesty about this phenomena. And I guess what I'm saying is that I'm glad now that I've undertaken this project, even though, yeah, it takes a lot out of me to fucking, the fucking Breaking Bad thing did take a lot of emotional, it takes a lot out of you, especially when it doesn't do well, It's just kind of like, because the whole excitement of you even making it, that whole like force is like with the anticipation that this is some sort of like discovery that a lot of people are going to be fucking interested in. And because that was my ultimate theory. I thought people were really, I saw all these Breaking Bad videos on YouTube, like still making lots of views and whatever. I was like, why shouldn't a crazy theory that about it like actually do decently, if not, it's just 2,000 views. But that's what it is. It is what it is. But I guess with this video, now that I've done the work and whatever, and made some discoveries on my own that have surprised me, I feel like, okay, I think I've come across something that is not only going to be interesting to me, but going to be very interesting to, and not just even other Asian men or women, right, are going to be interested in. I feel like, you know, in the past few years, you know, I do have some conservative white followers. Some groypers follow me, right? And it's funny because, like, you know, you would expect a lot of groypers to have WMAF mind virus, especially like the white ones, right? But you know, it's interesting because like groypers, you know, because they're, you know, far right and Nazi, they actually don't even want like any race mixing, right? So so it's funny because they're liking my post about the WM mind virus because they're like, in their ideology, they don't want any race mixing whatsoever. So they see mine as kind of like a positive contributor to like race purity, I suppose. I don't know. I just kind of find that funny, but like, you know, if groypers like that are already kind of like, you know, upvoting my posts and whatever, I feel like they're definitely going to be interested in stuff like this. Um, you know, I want to kind of like share this last piece that I just finished. Just kind of another sneak preview. Let's see. The Tiger Cave. Okay. All right. I think it's gonna cover my face for a second, but whatever. All right. I feel like this is like kind of like the crux of the effects. Like, okay, so we see now that Japanese porn has played a significant role in the dehumanization and sexual objectification of women, particularly with today's youth. But we can also see how some Asian women like Rain, Sophie Rain, by the way, have capitalized on this fetishization, particularly more recently with the advent of social media and video platforms like YouTube and Instagram. Bella Porch, another Filipino American, has became famous on TikTok by doing videos with Ahegao inspired faces. I explained what that is early in the video. And has the fifth largest account on the site with 92 million followers. The overwhelming majority of top creators who are Southeast Asian Americans are women, and although they might not necessarily make sexualized or even suggestive content, it's clear that it is a lot easier to accumulate a following for fairly attractive Asian women in nearly any influencer category, while the visibility of Asian men is limited to categories that require high objective skill, such as finance, gaming, or dance videos. And returning back to our fundamental proposition that if Western imperialism is the root of the WMF mind virus, then Japan, through its views on sexuality that materialized in its long tradition of its amoralistic pornography, in fact provided the RNA for this mind virus to take root in the Western consciousness. Combined with its initial thrust to escape punishment for its war crimes by literally throwing its own version of comfort women at the incoming American occupying forces, and possibly what Japan intended all along since the Meiji Restoration, to become white themselves, Japan was the ultimate source of the imperialist and subjugative nature of WMF marriages, particularly in America in the post-war era. This influence would spread to other countries that served as military bases for Americans for the Korean and Vietnam Wars, who had roots of comfort women both from Japanese fascism and American imperialism. The stereotype of the creepy middle-aged women finding himself in Bangkok has become so ubiquitous, even in general American media, to the point where it has become a meme and a caricature. In the past decade or so, even K-pop for its female groups have somewhat become a revolving door of groups predicated on youth, sex appeal, and a willingness to cater to Western sexual tastes. The most famous K-pop group, Blackpink, has also been in projects in Western media that have been overtly sexualized and with non-Asian men. Lalisa Manable, also known as Lisa, the Thai member of the group, has also had a long-term relationship with Frederick Arnault, a billionaire son of luxury mogul Bernard Arnault, chairman and CEO of LVMH and chairman of Christian Dior. A year after they started dating, Lisa became the house ambassador for Louis Vuitton. Even at the top, WMAF relationships illustrate a clear transactional, hypergamous nature, while celebrities who wanted to become famous in the Western context clearly had to play this game of overt self-sexualization. Now that we've investigated the influences from Japanese American propaganda, blah blah blah. So, and you can see the topic of the next part is going to be Wasians. Anyway, so all this to say, I'm finally entering this home stretch. Kind of using this, so I said this in the Discord. Some of you guys might not know, but I think starting from Monday, I believe, or Monday or Tuesday, I was locked out of my account. It was for a fucking nothing burger. I basically said, like, when I was a kid, I appreciated the nukes. I was patriotic because I appreciated the nukes on Japan. It's just like, that was just a historical event, and I don't know why they say it's violent speech or some shit. So I'm appealing the decision. I refuse to fucking back down. I don't know. They might just be putting me in Twitter jail for a long time, and then I just have to fucking delete it, whatever. But I'm using this time to just kind of like not go on Twitter. You know, it is kind of like a little bit of a time suck. I'm not gonna lie. And just kind of like using that time to more concentrate on writing and just getting this script done so I can start filming. My process has kind of been just to, you know, finish up the script, and then I'll probably have AI kind of look at it to suggest like structural edits and kind of like figure out how to make it more streamlined. Because I feel like one of the lessons I learned with the Breaking Bad thing is that it is long, but it's also a fire hose of information. It might have served me better to split it up into like 5-part video, like 30 minutes each. That's a little bit more digestible in small parts. So I think based on that, I want to use AI to try to figure out if there's a better way to make it so it's not like fucking, you know, it's already 16,000 words. I don't know. Maybe it should be a multi-part thing. I don't know. But that's the status of it at the moment. Anyway, let me look at some comments. Synopsis centers around an impotent but ambitious salesman, the emperor of porn. Interesting. The naked director. All right, let me just... Oh, God. Why is he actually... Oh, God. Why? Japaninsar. Hey, Doug, yo, remember that slag. Wait, what is a slag? Can't wait to watch it. Japan, gateway to Asia, Philia. If you have autism, everyone has autism. Really? I don't think everyone has autism, to be honest. Didn't Celeste implode because she bullied someone? Oh yeah, that was a bad art friend. But yeah, she's retarded. See, that's the thing. Like Celeste Dang, nobody fucking even cares about Celeste Dang anymore. You know? Particularly not the fucking Asian community. I feel like COVID sort of reset the landscape for Asian Americans. Like, a lot of Asian Americans just threw a lot of those fucking liberals in the trash. You know, there's obviously a lot of retarded fucking PMC Asian Americans, obviously still like fucking glaze these liberals. But for the most part, nobody fucking cares what any of these fucking retards have to say anymore. Which is a good thing. Do you have a lot of friends or family members who are married to white people? I have friends and family members who are married to white people. So it's not like I'm, you know, saying that it's bad in and of itself. Like it's an inherently bad thing. But, you know, my purpose is to kind of like just show the history, you know, and have people make their own conclusions, right? That's all I can do. That's all I can... Obviously, I'm gonna give it a little bit of my own subjective spin to it. Don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna make some conclusions that gonna spread some breadcrumbs and see if people pick up what I'm put down. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to like say this is what happened. This is the history. This is Japanese pornography. This is comfort women. This is American imperialism. This is the Korean and Vietnam Wars. This is Miss Saigon. This is Joy Luck Club. This is all the fucking shit that Asian women made. This is all. This exists, right? This is, right? All I can do is say this is. These things exist in reality. Now, make your own conclusions. So, because the thing is, I feel like a lot of people make these conclusions about WMAF or Asian women or Asian men or whatever have you, and they make these conclusions without all these objective facts. They don't. A lot of some of these things, like I said, I don't even know. Or I'm discovering myself. So if me, one of the leading scholars on the Oxford study, right? Probably the leading scholar on the Oxford study, rather. If even I am discovering things, like, chances are there's stuff in here that's going to interest a lot of people who want to make these conclusions and assumptions and make these whatever. Or want some clarity from it, I mean, 2023, really, like when that Oxford study TikTok video came out, that really illustrated to me, okay, there's not only interest in this from the Asian American community, there's interest in this in the overall community. They're asking, what the fuck is this? They're asking, what is that? What is this Wasian meetup? What is this fucking... It's like, you know what? This world deserves a better class of WMF mind virus theory, and I'm gonna give it to them. So it's not really about, am I trying to get a rise out of my family members or anything like that. And I don't really care at this point if they do feel some types of way about it, because I'm just kind of like, don't get mad at fucking facts, get mad at imperialism then. Get mad at fucking Japanese people then. That's my overall thing. It's like, if you want to blame someone, you watch anime all the time. That's the fucking most retarded thing. Like all these Asian women who are, let's say, WMAF. Anna Akana is a fucking perfect example of this, right? Like someone who's always, bemoaning, and I talk about this in the fucking video, but like someone who's always bemoaning yellow fever, but then like you're glazing your Jap shit, your Jap identity, and your fucking like, mediocre white boyfriends, and it's just kind of like, the Asian woman who's like super into anime, but then complaining about yellow fever. I'm just kind of like, that anime has all those kind of like, not the overt, tentacle shit probably, but like they've got some hentai elements even in the fucking like Naruto shit or whatever. Like even in the kid stuff, there's elements of this fucking hentai stuff, Anyway, the system is designed to silence you, but designed by who? Well, designed by money, designed by the bourgeoisie, right? I've been reading The Destruction of Reason, like halfway through, but it kind of talks about the irrationalist philosophers, right? You have the rational philosophers who, their idea is that history has a purpose. There's a purpose to history. There's a purpose to everything, they're the optimists, right? They're people like Leibniz, Kant, Hegel, and then Marx, right? Even kind of like Spinoza is a little bit in there as well. though. He's a little bit more neutral in that kind of department. But then you have the reactionary philosophers, right? The people that hated Hegel for kind of like rationalizing history, which was like Schopenhauer, Kierkegaard, and then Nietzsche as well. So I'm reading about the Nietzsche section. I already read, Schelling as well. Schelling, who was actually a friend of Hegel's before they broke. And so it's interesting to see this kind of like philosophical development of irrationality. And that too was to kind of like protect bourgeois interests in a growing sort of socialist movement within Germany, especially after 1848. So I'm still doing readings, I'm still doing thinking, I'm still doing fucking all the things. But I will be probably not streaming next week. I might not even stream Sunday. I don't know. I might not. This might be the last stream for a while. So, I might not. There's a possibility I might not stream on Sunday. Definitely not streaming next Thursday, I think. And then not streaming that Sunday afterwards either. So this might be the last one for, unless I stream on Sunday. There's a small chance I might still stream on Sunday, but we'll see. So this is kind of like, I guess I'm just saying all this to talk about what I'm working on before I, leave for like, it might be 2 weeks, maybe possibly, if I'm lucky in Las Vegas, it might be even 3 weeks until the next time I stream. Or if I feel like, doing just like it might be a while is what I'm saying. It's probably 50-50 on whether I stream on Sunday, but after that, I'm going to be away for a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, let me just read some more comments. I've grown a little distasteful towards diasporation, but not because of the whole. It just feels like racist white women with an Asian face. Well, if you read my article, I go into that a lot in my article. Not specifically about like being a white woman with an Asian face, but just kind of like about the hypocrisy. And I might still talk about it a little bit in the latter sections of my thing, kind of like, all right, now how does it affect us politically, right? Now we have the comprador sort of component to it, and illustrating how, I don't know. I still have to figure that out. Watch enough of these Asian women content creators and you'll see it. Yeah, like Dr. Gia on fucking TikTok. Stupid dumbass. People try to silence you, fuck them, lol. Future of Asian America's Happas and Quappas. It's inevitable, especially as immigration from East Asia further declines. I mean, to be honest, like, that should be the natural progression. Like, let's say there was no, like, let's say, pie in the sky, idealistic version of America where racism didn't exist at all. Then it stands to reason that the average Asian person, whether they're male or female, would get married to white people and black people and Hispanic people in an equal distribution compared to the rest of their, and then, we would all be fucking one race in like 3 generations, right? I don't fucking know, right? That would be the that would be the theoretical ideal. But clearly doesn't happen like that. And the way that, Happas develop, when it is so one-sided on, the white male, Asian female versus the other way around, it kind of like, changes the fabric of what that identity even means. Obviously tilting it closer towards some sort of white supremacist identity, which we've seen, obviously. I especially can't stand them after being around proud Chinese women who recently came over. Yeah, I need a, I don't know, proud Chinese woman, I guess, who's also very smart and hot. Makes sense. Libtard white women have definitely steal it. White conservatard your way. What do you mean conservatard your way? Controversial take. Parents enable this behavior, allowing white people in their communities like they own the place. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you know, we came into this country, or our parents came into this country rather, with an assimilationist mindset. And so they didn't really understand race relations, right? Obviously, coming in the 1970s, 80s, they were just kind of like, oh, America's this place where there's a lot of money. A lot more money than Korea, a lot more money than Vietnam, a lot more money than China right now. Or Taiwan, I guess, at the time. And so yeah, they made a bargain. They made a bargain with the devil. Right? Because that's what it is, right? It's like this was the quote unquote land of opportunity, right? Like, and you know, for a generation, it looked like they made the right choice, right? Even though Korea and Taiwan and even China now obviously eventually did develop, they spent most of their youth in a more developed country. The trade-off was, you know, trying to kind of like, I guess, assimilate and lose that part of their identity and lose their part of their, and try to, you know, assimilate into this other sort of identity. That didn't quite work, you know. You'd think that they would learn. You'd think that they would learn from Japan's history that they were never going to let you assimilate, right? That was Japan's whole thing in the 1900s, especially 1905, you know, when they beat Russia in the Russo-Japanese War. There was kind of like a reaction among a lot of the Western countries. So Japan was going to take a lot, but then they kind of like conceded some stuff. They were like, all right, we're not going to take all of it. We're just going to take this. So they kind of had to like still negotiate with the West. And then they thought that, okay, let's participate in World War One. Now they're going to fucking, you know, but then, you know, they wanted all of Germany's shit in China, which I think they got some, but, you know, again, the Western powers are like, well, don't be too big for your britches, right? We're still, you know, we still want to maintain our presence in China and in these other Asian places, you know. And so starting from after World War One, that's when Japan were like, you know what? The only way we're going to be fucking respected as equals is if we fucking show them what's what. You know, show them who's boss, right? So that was their kind of like strategy, be like dominance for recognition. And then they, you know, with the whole comfort women stuff after the war to the American military, now they started that assimilationist sort of strategy themselves. Be like, all right, well, you're the master now, so have our women. Take our women and you know, and you know, now you can watch our weird kind of fetishes, you know, like they didn't invent some of these fetishes, like the cuck fetish or the BDSM fetish or other stuff, but they took it to another level, if that makes sense. It's almost like if you had a scale of pornography from like like let's say level 0 is like everyone's modest or whatever, and level extreme is like demonic, right? We're like going on the scale of Christian morality in this regard, right? Like most sexual ethics are based in some sort of Christian um sort of westernized or some westernized Christian sort of, I don't know what the word is, like structure. Because you know, obviously, if you know, examine Indian religions like Hinduism and Buddhism, right? They've got the Kama Sutra. They've got weird kind of sexual shit going on there. Obviously, with Buddhism, it does get a little bit more conservative in that regard, but the root still exists where there is this sort of like amoral kind of attitude towards sex, and you know that obviously continues in Japan. It really is just Christianity as a religion that and then obviously the other Abrahamic religions, though of course today's Judaism apparently has no issue with, you know, degenerates shit whatsoever. um but you know, ideologically the root is in Jewish kind of like faith, right? That's where it comes from, the fucking, you know, Exodus, Leviticus, Ten Commandments. Sorry, I didn't mean to say fucking before that. Sorry, Jesus. But you know, like that's kind of like where our sense of morality, where when it comes to sexuality stuff, comes from, right? Outside of that, for Asians, for Chinese, for Vietnamese, for Korean people, you know, continental Asians, I suppose, that's where Confucianism was the strongest, right? Because it makes sense. Continentally, you're connected to China, as Korea and Vietnam were. And for the longest time, there was a lot of Confucian influence both in Korea and in Vietnam as well. So their civilizations for, you know, millennia had much more conservative views on sex, not due to any sort of moral argument or like metaphysical argument, but it was more of sort of, this is what's best for like an orderly society. Like, you know, Confucius kind of like understood, like, you don't want to fuck with another man's wife, you don't want to really be fucking around too much, you know, that causes social disharmony, this causes a lot of drama and whatever, so let's just keep it in the fucking pants. Let's not even talk about it much. Like, if you fucking like make, you know, without modesty, it gets out of control. Is basically what, you know. And this is stuff that, you know, not only Confucius and Christianity, but you know, people like some people in I don't know. Actually, it might just be those two, because I do know that the Greek people also had interesting views on sex, specifically pederasty. So maybe I was thinking about the Greeks, but then I was like, oh yeah, maybe not. I think Socrates as well partook in some of that sort of tradition, so to speak. So it's interesting because, like, you know, the New Testament, a lot of it's written in Greek, right? I think Paul's letters are in Greek. I might be wrong about that, but that would be interesting because he talks with, like, you know, all those verses about homosexuality in the Bible. When you literally translate it, it's about what sex with little boys. So I think Paul was directly critiquing this Greek pederasty sort of trend that was going on. I don't even know. I'm weird tangent. Anyway, let's see. Sophie Rain is a Christian and virgin. Lol. Yeah, I talk about that too. That's why OnlyFans simps pay millions towards her, hoping they can tap that. That's the whole draw, right? And if you look at actually You know, that's that's kind of the connection I make, right? Like, because early Japanese porn, there was some, so they didn't know exactly what they could get away with, so they had to like, because there was this sort of like censorship law, like no pornography since the Imperial Japanese period. But then they were like, oh, they just mean you can't show genitals, so you can show kind of humping going around. We just have to turn the camera so you can't really see the P go in the V. And then later on, that turned into pixelation, you know, mosaics that people see now in Japanese porn, even to this day. Um, but yeah, when it started out, it was more of these, like, you know, these artful sort of angles and suggestiveness, and leave it to the imagination, right? That was kind of like how pornography started, um, basically in Japanese movie theaters, in like the 1960s, I want to say 1960s, yeah, 1960s, 1970s, something like that. Um, and so she also, I found out, she also lied about her age. I think she said she was 23. No, I think she said she was 21 when she was 23. So that too is also kind of like capitalizing on this youthful sort of, oh, I'm just this innocent, youthful, whatever, which is very kind of like similar to, you know, the lolicon trends that started in Japanese pornography as well, right? Um, so yeah, yeah, fun stuff, you know, fun stuff to kind of research and yeah, but it's just kind of like, all right, I'm glad I'm doing this because now, you know, like, you know, when you lift the rock and all the cockroaches come out. Now you know that there are the cockroaches, right? Before the rock was still on the fucking ground, and I was like, oh god, I don't want to fucking lift this rock because I know there's gonna be nasty shit under it. But now that I've done it, now I can see specifically what the nasty shit is, and now it could be like, all right, well, I wasn't wrong, but now everyone else can see this nasty shit. You rah rah America nuking Japan? Yeah, that was when I was 9 years old. I was just kind of like, you know, because my mom named me after Douglas MacArthur, right? So I was like, oh yeah, because of the war in Japan, right? Like, fuck those fuck those Japs. Like, we nuked those motherfuckers. Later in life, I didn't even know this, but later in life, MacArthur wasn't even part of the decision to nuke Japan. I actually didn't even know that. He was not in the discussion for that. Um, he obviously didn't have a problem with it, but he was not part of that decision. I didn't even know that. And the other thing I didn't realize was that my mom named me after MacArthur for the Korean War. She had no idea. That's the level of brainwashing, though, right? In South Korea, they never even taught you that Japan was. I mean, MacArthur was the general that defeated Japan. Like, why would they not share that with their people? It seems like such an odd detail to not add. But anyway, I took it as we beat the Japs. Let's nuke those motherfuckers. You know, I was 9 years old. I was like, yeah, thanks, America. Thanks. We got them. You put them in the fucking microwave and you pressed minute 30. Beep, beep, beep. And out came out our freedom and liberation. Anyhow. Let's see. Wait, did I miss some stuff? I think I messed up some stuff. Oh wait, no. Happas and Quappas aren't the future of jack shit. They're just white. Why? Because China and Asia determines Asian anything. That's true. It's just kind of like, where is the source? Where's the actual source? The material source. And I'm, like, it's interesting because, like, this is a lot of what Hegelian philosophy is about. It's about, like, what is the ultimate source of where ideas come from, of where, well, it has to come from material reality, right? It has to come from. And so this was like a huge debate, right, between before Kant, right? Before Kant during the Enlightenment in the 1600s, 1700s, this was like a huge kind of like debate between philosophers during the time, because after the Renaissance, there was a lot of science and technology that was coming out that was challenging a lot of views on metaphysics and Christian metaphysics in general, and kind of like, wait, the Bible said this, but actually science says that. Isn't that a contradiction? So a lot of these kinds of philosophical debates were set into these camps of empiricism and idealism. Like, we can only know, like, when the empiricist camp is like, we can only know things based on our experiences, right? And then idealism is like, we can only know things based on the primacy of like the concept and their idea, whatever. And Kant kind of proves that the human mind is only conditioned to understand things in nature, things in reality. It's not designed to logically understand metaphysical concepts like love or God or the infinite, right? It's that was his kind of like big contribution to those things, but by setting a limit on human consciousness to only be able to fully comprehend, fully render intelligible kind of like stuff that exists in reality. And so Hegel kind of like expounds upon that. It's like, actually, while you are correct, the whole process of reality reveals these metaphysical concepts. And so that he kind of like bridges the gap and says, reality is metaphysics, or metaphysics is reality, right? Like, that's kind of like his big kind of like combination of the two. It's all sort of one. It's all sort of one process. Like, reality is reality, and the metaphysics that underlie reality is the process of reality unfolding. And it's, if I sound like I'm fucking crazy, that's probably because whenever you read Hegel, he sounds like he's fucking crazy. But that's essentially what he's trying to do, to kind of like bring reality and idealism together, but using kind of like Christianity as the overarching kind of metaphysical sort of superstructure to organize that. And then Marx takes that to the next level, saying, no, it's material reality, not this like Holy Spirit or whatever, Christian God or whatever, that's direct. It's just material reality that causes things. It's like the material reality of where I find myself. Like, okay, I find myself in a society that has a capitalist mode of development. Therefore, I'm going to have certain ideas because information and ideas come from like the way things are produced is also the way ideas are produced. Like, the way ideas are disseminated and whatever are dependent on the way things are produced in society. Like, so that's kind of like the logic between why I agree with that sort of thing. China and Asia being the kind of like source of what is Asian. Jap government is known for requesting takedown, banning and censoring of anti-Jap posts on social media. That's fucking bullshit. but I can see that being true. Afro-Zionists who beat it to Japan. I mean, I don't go into the black component because I feel like I'd have to make another fucking... This is already long enough as it is. I feel like go into that component is a little bit more complex, but yes, of course, that's an element. Checking in for Saigon, sup, Richard. But I don't know where Saigon is. I only know where Ho Chi Minh City is. Unless they do the work of learning and inhabiting the language, like Eileen Gu, nobody would actually see them as Asian. I agree. And I'm also terrible at Korean, so what do I know? I'm just a hypocrite. No, it's just... I would learn Korean, it's just fucking... I just don't have time. I just don't really have time. And in reality, South Koreans aren't going to listen to me anyway, especially about politics. And North Koreans, that's like preaching to the choir, right? So practically speaking, the only real language I should learn is probably Mandarin. Again, which I intend to eventually, but... Oh, man. I just have so much fucking shit. Maybe when I go back to New York, because, like, I feel like, I'll be close enough to Chinatown. I know some Chinese people in Chinatown. Maybe I can get some in-person tutoring or whatever. Make that more of a regular thing. But at this point, I just kind of want to finish these projects. All right, where are your friends who read your I'm not worried about that at all. I already, like I said, I already came out with the Substack article 5 years ago. And so people kind of already know. And people kind of already knew before that too. I made Just Doug, my TV show. I don't talk about it as virulently, but, it is mentioned. So people do know that, I talk about it. So it's not like this crazy out of left field, oh, Doug's going crazy. It's kind of consistent with what I have been already talking about for the past 10 years or so. So, but it's funny because like 10 years ago, I was so jaded because I was thinking to myself, there's no way, there is no way that deep down inside these Asian women's minds that they don't think that they have some sort of mind virus themselves. They're quick to point out yellow fever, but it's like, all right, well, how do you explain the amount of marriages then? Marriage, as far as I know, is consensual. No one forced you to get married to a white guy. No one forced you to... And yet, it happens. You can say love is love all you want, but the numbers don't lie. The numbers are not numbering. And it was just like this obvious contradiction. Even 10 years ago, I was just kind of like, you're fucking... But then in the past 10 years, I realized, no, they're actually, a lot of them are actually stupid. Fucking retards. A lot of that has to do, obviously, with confirmation bias and self-serving confirmation bias. But the other fact is they are just retarded. Because they, ironically enough, the ones that talk a lot about white fragility or whatever the fuck, like Kathy Park Hong, they have this platform, right? They have this influence. They have all this whatever, right? But where does that influence ultimately come from? It comes from the white man, right? It comes from the white man allowing them to succeed in Western literature, in Western society. If there was a white man that was like, I don't like this content, Get the fuck out of the, Ohio writers fucking workshop that you intend to. All these elite fucking white liberal institutions you fucking work in. That's the crazy part. When they fucking say that Asian men are the white supremacists, I'm like, you dumb fucking... you dumb fucking... Like, where does it... Yeah, of course you have, like, fucking Arthur Quan Lees or some, like, guy fucking LARPing in a Confederate... Like, yeah, that exists. But you also have fucking Tila Tequila doing the Roman salute in front of a Nazi flag. So where the fuck do you retards get off? Ugh, God. Anyway. Are you, Ana Akana. Oh, I got him. Asakira. I mean, functionally, yeah, one might do actual explicit porn and one might do whatever skits on YouTube, but functionally speaking, people have probably beat off to the latter much more than the former by now. Let's be fucking real. Oh man, I'm gonna get canceled in 2016. See, that's the thing, too. That's the reason I couldn't write all this stuff in 2016. Well, I'm finding a lot of, like, use in AI. You know, like, previously without AI, I would have to, like, Google search a lot of this stuff and have to actually visually see a lot of this stuff, if you know what I mean. Especially when it came to Japanese pornography. You know, not something I might want to view if... the more extreme, disgusting stuff, but, it's there, I guess. The Wasian meetup reeked of desperation. The question is, who are Wasians dating and building families with? Because no one sees Quapas who are 3/4 white as Asian, period. Self-erasing. Yep. Well, on July 4th, I'm driving to Las Vegas, so I'm going to be busy. Native Chinese women can arguably be even worse than diaspora women. It's just they don't have that opportunity active. Unfortunately, holy moly, there is an element of truth to that. It's the utopian... I call them a lot of Chinese women are stage 2. There's a 4-stage. Let me pull up my stages of WM mind virus. Let me see. Hold on. All right. Let me see if I can. So I wrote this 3 years ago. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, fuck. Is this working? Shit. Oh, wait. Fucking hell. I thought it froze on me for a second. Hold on. And then... Okay. All right. Stages of the WMF mind virus. Stage 0. Normal Asian, fully Easternized, usually with little or no contact with the West. Mostly People's Republic of China and DPRK. I want to amend this now to probably be just the DPRK. I feel like stage 0 is very rare. Unless you go to the backwater areas of China, like the rural areas of China, Maybe there's still stage 0 Chinese women there, but I would say the DPRK is probably the only one with stage 0 fully cured. But yes, I would say that stage 1 is a lot of where these Chinese women, like normal Chinese women, are in. They have vestiges of language, Western thought. And then stage 2, this would be a lot of, the like I say, the more recent entrants, the kind of like the woke people who say stuff like, you remember that I think there was this like Vancouver dating show where this Asian girl was like, I think she was Chinese, but she was like, I'm not really into being an Oxford study, whatever, blah blah blah. So she's kind of like saying like fuck white men now, right? But you can kind of tell like, there's still some westernization that has already happened, right? So I feel like a lot of people in China, especially in like the liberalized cities, like Shanghai, are stage 2, right? Especially if you're richer and you're, wealthier, you're a little bit more bourgeois, you're going to be a little bit more liberalized, and you're going to be a little bit more westernized, right? And then stage 3, most vocal liberals in the stage believe themselves to be superior, and this is the people we all fucking hate and know. And then stage 4 are just the openly white supremacist stages where they're fully gone. Even fucking Celeste Ng is in this fucking bracket. Most people might think she's in this stage 3 area, but I would say she's comfortably stage 4. People who don't even like pretend to have any connection to their Asian identity, even though they profit off of it. Anyhow, native Chinese woman. Oh yeah, make coolies out of your sons, pimp out your daughters. Exactly, the assimilation had huge trade-offs. They can be more materialistic, but recent 30s and 20s Chinese don't worship whites. Yeah, I mean, that's just a function, like I said, of the changing times. Hypergamy, for example, right? Like even 10 years ago, there's a lot of difference from even 10 years ago from China, right? Because China's always continually developing very quickly. So, and so the younger people will have less and less as each generation goes on, it's something that's not going to disappear overnight, right? Like I said, it's going to be a process, but it's trending as in my opinion, it's trending downward, right? And that's just a function of China just being China. Young Chinese definitely no longer worship white as a general rule. And with China, everything changes fast. Same person could go from white worship looking down white angles within a few years. Let's see. If you FA, you FO. This is common theme among Chinese creators. Coping among Westoids. Hey, Illustrious Media, by the way, I wanted to ask, I think I asked this on Twitter, but do you have any sort of connection to someone who can or some AI program that can make Mandarin subtitles under my video? Like, I want to make an edit for Chinese social media because I feel like this is a topic that Chinese people are going to be interested in, right? So let me know if have any ideas about how I can put some Mandarin subtitles. Obviously for YouTube they're not going to be Mandarin subtitles, but for Chinese audience, let's say, I don't know, if they have it like a Weibo, or I don't know, like on Red Note, if it's best to put videos like that on. I don't fucking know, but look at XHS. You can still see that international couples and foreign men are still glorified. Well, wait. I mean, things are rapidly changing in China. You're gonna still have remnants of WMAF shit, of course. XHS is dominated by, you know, a lot of these more wealthier, liberal Shanghainese type women. Look up the term Brazilian steak, which is Chinese women who chase foreign. Wait, why Brazil? I still don't get it. People paying for OnlyFans when sexual content is literally all over the internet. It's free. Yeah, I mean, I never understood paying for porn at all, especially with the advent of the internet. I'm just kind of like, look, man, there's a lot of free content. If you wanna bang one off, it's a lot of free shit to find. You know, like I remember watching even just Superbad, you know, 2007, when in the beginning, um, where you know the two main characters, they're like debating on which porn site they want to invest in, I guess. And for me, I was just kind of like, you know, when I was growing up, right? Victoria's Secret catalog worked just fine. You know, I'm just like, why are people paying for this shit? You know, I never understood it. I never got it. Maybe that's the Asian side. Maybe that's why. That's why Asian American men aren't as gross as weebs or whatever. Because like our introduction just into regular pornography, even American pornography, was so like latent. Like obviously now it's probably the same because like everyone has access to the same technology and it's just so available. But back when we were teenagers growing up, just had to find stuff. Because like God forbid you got caught with a fucking porno mag or a fucking porno video. Oh God, I would have like that would have been like I would have been killed. So I think like because we're conditioned in these very conservative households from an early age, like the concept of just paying for porn doesn't even exist, right? Though obviously not for Japanese households. No, I meant when X banned you for nuking of Japan. Oh, what did I say? There's 700 million women in China, so you'll have a percentage that does that. Nowhere nearest. Yeah, that's true. General point is everything is in flux, right? That's the contradiction. That's the dialectic. That's the Hegelian dialectic. There are going to be people who are still on the WMF train, but the overall thing is that it's a process, right? It's a time-driven process. It's just going to be a thing where it'll take time. Just like, you know, China's ascendancy, in my opinion, and a lot of Chinese people's opinions, it's already finished. It's already complete. But it still isn't complete in the minds of everyone. And it isn't complete in some ways. Like, China doesn't have as many nukes as America, right? That's just an objective reality, right? So, you know, it's a process. It's a process. And it's a self-select bunch on Red Note. Many of the international couples are literally living abroad. Yeah. One of the few W's I give America. Yep. The nukes, totally fine. Wasn't a war crime. Wasn't a war crime. You know what I say this wasn't a war crime? Because, you know, I obviously understand the geopolitical, like, they wanted to warn the Soviets to back off. Don't fucking cross the 38th. We're taking South Korea, right? That was the main point of the nukes. And I understand that. I understand that I should be against that. But it's like, honestly, realistically speaking, like they were training like regular civilians with fucking, you know, like to fight with fucking spears to the death. Be like, we got to fight to the death. We, you know, like when they come to this island, we like every man, woman, and child. We got to fight to the. So like, the argument that they saved lives with the nukes is not 100% false. Like, people don't realize how fucking batshit crazy the Japs were. They were ready. Like one of the generals, and that's the other thing too. The decision to surrender, even after the Soviets invaded, even after the nukes, was 3-3. It was the emperor that broke the tie. So these people were not fucking rational people. These people were fucking batshit insane. There's a real possibility that not only saved American lives, obviously American soldier lives, but saved a whole bunch of fucking Jap lives. But you know, not a war crime. Not a war crime. You have to make them feel like, all right, there's no path to victory here. And what better way to say that to fucking drop this fucking devastating thing that it's like, yeah, you have no fucking shot. Bend the knee or get fucking incinerated at 5,000 Kelvin. That's your choice. Bend the knee or 5,000 K. You know? That's as just as anything could be, in my opinion. We don't really need to create media. I feel like I said, I said this about Chinese soft power. I kind of like was on that side. I was on your side by saying like, we need more media, blah, blah, blah. But China's kind of proven that like media doesn't matter. What matters is just fucking hard power, like economic power, you know, military power. You just need power. You don't need to talk this shit because like that's what India does all the time. And they're even more cucked than China, right? They've been cucked, but they make all this media that gasses themselves up, like in Bollywood and shit. But where has it gotten them? It's just gotten them, like, derision because the media doesn't match up to their reality, right? So I think China's smart in what they're doing. I'm just assisting the process by making media that's objective, you know, documentary media that's objective about what's the actual reality. To me, it's the same thing. It's basically I wanted what white boys have: black men, Asian female. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, again, I don't want to really go into it in the video because I feel like it's not central to that content. It's already super fucking long. Plenty of Mandarin speakers in LA Chinatown. Yeah, but I'm leaving in 2 months, so I don't want to start anything like where I'm going to be leaving. Spend time with triads for an extra boost of testosterone when you're back in New York. I heard the triads are pretty much not in the States anymore, though. Is that true? Or like maybe just like old heads? I feel like it's kind of like washed out by now. Pursuit of Jade and Zhang Linghe trend. That's the thing, too. You know? I feel like at the end of the day, women don't even know what they want. Right? Or rather, when choosing a mate, women gravitate towards power, right? It's just a fundamental fact of life ever since nature, right? You know, um, that's just how fucking reality works. You know, women go to the person that they think is the strongest or you know, smartest or most powerful mate possible, right? And that's just kind of, as China becomes more powerful, that's why it's just going to naturally, women are going to want Asian men, right? That's just the way things go. Like with this fucking World Cup thing, even. Like it was like, oh, South Korea is you know, obviously they fucking lost yesterday, like terribly or whatever. I don't really watch soccer, but from what I understand, South Korea is somewhat of an elite team, you know, on the world stage, like a top 10 team at least. They shouldn't have lost to South Africa, from what I understand. But that kind of like soccer prestige, right, made a lot of, I guess, Mexican women, you know, want some of that sunny stuff in them, you know? Women follow trends, right? If someone, it looks like they're popular and powerful, whatever, that person is, they're going to want to be with that person. That's just reality. Men are a lot more simple, right? Are they hot? Right? Obviously, like, you know, the more narcissistic men want the hottest, so that, you know, which is why a lot of narcissistic men are actually probably gay. They just want the trophy wife to be like, look at how aesthetically pleasing my wife is to the rest of the world, right? You know, they marry them for aesthetic reasons rather than actually horny reasons, I suppose. And so, you know, I feel like women, they all say they want some sort of moral, upright, you know, man who's whatever, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, they want someone with a lot of power, right? Someone who can ostensibly take care of them, right? Because that's the role of the man in most of human civilization since the dawn of human civilization, pretty much, right? The provider, the protector, etc., etc. But yeah, if you start providing kind of like that model in media, then a lot more Asian women are going to be like, oh yeah, Asian men can be heroic and powerful and strong, whatever. That's why, you know, like my other kind of idea is to make Ho Chi Minh biopic or Kim Il Sung biopic. I feel like that would be a cool sort of thing to make, not just for communism, but for the image of the Asian man, right? The image of the Asian man is a heroic. Plenty of Mandarin speakers and oh yeah, DPRK Korean is almost a language. It's love. What's love? It's really that sad. Lol. NYC is crazy. World Cup, 4th of July, Gay Pride Week. You know some shit is going to go down. Well, whatever. If it was love, the amount of AMWF and WMF would be roughly equal. Well, there you go. They're zombies. Asian men haven't built our own institutions. Yeah. Part of that is just because we're not really even allowed to, or we're just kind of like shut out of these institutions, right? And, you know, also like, you know, not our generation is kind of like the first generation to try to build a unified Asian American identity. Because, like, prior to it, like, especially most of our parents, and even the generations before, like the Chinese railroad worker, whatever, there just wasn't a big enough critical mass back then to build an Asian American identity. And then once most of us came after 65, there were just too many different types of Asians. You know, a lot of us didn't really like each other, even, right? The Koreans don't really like Chinese people, and or Japanese people, and Chinese people don't really like Japanese people, and you know, there's a lot of fucking just overall. We all don't even speak the same language, too. You know, most people are, you know, especially like Hispanic people, for example. You know, they might come from all these different South American countries or Latin American countries, but they all speak the same language. So it's easy to unify when you have something like a unifying thing in language, because with language comes a lot of cultural elements as well. And while there are a lot of cultural similarities between a lot of Asian countries, there's a lot of differences due to language and due to kind of like different history and connections towards American imperialism and all that. So for the longest time, it's been hard to build those institutions because we just didn't even see ourselves as the same sort of people until our generation, really. And so, you know, this channel, for example, is one of these attempts at this unification. You know, so tell your friends. If we're so white supremacist, we're doing a shitty job. That's true. I would pay you good money to fight Arthur Quan Lee. Well, I mean, I don't think he would. I don't think he would accept the challenge. Anna Kana equals Ase. Doug, do you see the Groypers are now openly simping for Sophie Rain? Wait, is that like a crazy thing? I mean, she's the top earner on OnlyFans. That's a crazy thing, right? Like the top earner on OnlyFans is Asian. The top, fucking porn adjacent influencers is a Filipino on TikTok. Like Bella Porsche, let's be fucking real. That was like the ah-gow shit she was doing. I was like, this shit is so fucking Jap coded. Let's be fucking real. But I guess that makes sense, right? Because technically she's not a prostitute, right? Technically she's just a she's no different from like a club bottle service girl, right? You know, brings out the bottle service and scantily clad clothing. But that's the interesting part about Sophie Rain. She actually, this the research I've been doing, right? She actually has no nudity, and no explicitly sexual. It's all suggestive. It's all left to the imagination, right? She dresses up in, innocent sort of get-ups and highlighting her youth, I guess, and whatnot. I think she also had like this thing called Bop House, where there were it was like a house with other OnlyFans influencers. I think there was some drama, but the other woman in her Bop House was also Asian. So she obviously knows there's some sort of element to her Asianness that's profitable. And kudos to her. She found out some way to fucking extract $110 million in less than 3 years. So what the fuck do I know? I run a fucking podcast that generates $0. It just costs me money. So what do I know? It's like how AOC Squad. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. 4 stages of WSK. Our women have flaws, yes, but most Korean women love Korean men. In Korea, maybe. In Korea. Mongolia could be stage 0. Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Well, Mongolia weren't there a lot of like? I guess they're just like so in the boonies that they don't, they don't even know what white people look like. Well, maybe they know what Russians look like. Russians are their white people. Confession time. North Korean women and their accents are hot. Lol. Oh, I don't really hear too many. But I did like the I know she's South Korean obviously, but the actress in uh Crazy About Crash Landing on You. I really found the main fucking Chebo girl really fucking annoying and not attractive actually. I thought the North Korean officers like to be betrothed to woman was really fucking hot. I was like, that's the hot one. You know, your content will 100% be removed on Red Note. So holy cow, is there a better or illustrious media? Is there a better platform for my content for Chinese social media? Because I don't Red Note. What if I put it on a Douyin or and can I as an American citizen open an account in China in like one of the, is there like a YouTube for China? You know, like where Chinese people are like, oh shit, or is that Weibo? I don't even fucking know. People pay for OnlyFans because they think it's a chance with person. Yeah, that's the nature. Like, so I researched her thing, Sophie Rain, and apparently the bulk of her income comes from like interacting with these whales, right? These whale people. You kind of like create this parasocial relationship where you reel them in. It's not that different from like, you know, a hot waitress at fucking, you know. I remember going to Vegas, and you know, obviously strip clubs, right? This is the same kind of concept, but like even fucking the X lanes, or I forgot what it was called, but one of the bowling alleys had like this hot, like super hot waitress, and they're always just like flirting with you, and you're just kind of like, all right, they're just doing it for tips, they're doing it for money, but like, you know, still in the moment, you are somewhat affected by it, right? So that's kind of like the service that she's selling, right? This sort of like parasourced social connection to someone who is this pure, innocent, you know, hasn't been ran through, right? Um, and no one has ever seen her nude, right? Because she doesn't do nude content. So she provides this sort of like, you know, you could tell that she's like, like the moment she turned, I guess, of age. Like it's clear that prior to that she had planned all of this in advance and kind of like, all right, this is how I'm going to do it. This is the image I'm going to present, and that's how I'm going to capitalize, right? So, you know, kudos to her, I guess. I don't know. Congratulations, Sophie. I mean, like, fuck, $110 million. That's a lot of bread. You can pay for one-on-ones, have them call you and personalize it. Not gonna lie, bought a pack, Playboy and pack of smokes at 18. Yeah, when I was a kid, like, you know, we would be like, oh man, like, you know, like, oh, there's a Playboy. I think like as a 12-year-old, you know, as a dare, I pulled it out and started flipping through it, you know, and it was like, I'm just reading it for the articles. But typically in America, though, I think they do try to put it in like a hidden section. Or this was when I was a kid. Obviously nowadays it's who fucking cares about magazines, right? But back in the day when we did have magazines, I think they would have it like hidden under a certain section or like have a plastic covering, so you'd have to like open the plastic covering, which meant you had to buy it. Etc. etc. Su Meng, Chinese socialite, essentially got roasted for being a maid for a French husband. Yeah. Let's see. Wasn't Stalin going to help Mao after Germany? What do you mean? Was he going to help Mao after Germany? I mean, Stalin was actually he actually didn't trust the CPC. Um he During the World War II, he was more funding the KMT than the CPC to kind of handle the Japanese. Um it wasn't until, the CPC kind of proved themselves in the Civil War where Stalin was like, "All right, I gotta recognize these guys now." I don't think like Stalin ever respected Mao as an equal. To be honest, to be perfectly honest, it's so nice to not see and live with whites in Ho Chi Minh City. Nice. Yeah, they got off fucking easy as shit. They should have had like, you know, well, I don't want to get canceled on YouTube either. Me doesn't matter. Look at Bollywood. Indians think their shit don't stay. Literally, Indians. Bollywood is absolutely working. It's like, you know what Indian people are? Indian people are like Marvel fans today who don't realize that Marvel is fucking over. They're like, that's what they are. Indian people, Jeets are people who don't realize Marvel's fucking done. Who still think superheroes are still a fucking thing. I seen reviews for Supergirl. I'm seeing projections. It's a fucking dead genre now. It's fucking done. Nobody fucking cares. The same thing about Indian people. They think that we're watching this Bollywood shit. No one's watching that Bollywood shit. Nobody fucking likes Indian people. Unfortunately, because that's a funny thing too. They also try to say all this stuff about oh shit, I got some comments that I didn't. There was somebody from Argentina that was viewing my thing. They say all this stuff about China as if people still believe them about China. They're stuck in this like 20-year ago meta, 20-year ago meta, where all this like anti-China stuff would have worked, but now it's like bouncing off like, you will see a lot of Slavic women gravitate Chinese men. Oh, nice. They want some gochujang in their taco. Biggest lie a woman says, I want an honest man. Yeah. Chinese apparently aren't too fond of us Koreans either. Thank you again. XHS. Well, that's because a lot of Korean people are being retarded first. Like, they're buying into all this fucking CIA nonsense about how Chinese colonialism was so oppressive, whatever. Never mind the fact that Japanese fascism was like 1 billion fucking times worse than that. They want to complain about this fucking nonsense when they don't even complain about that. They fucking like they suck Jap cock all the time, but whatever. I want to get payback against. Well, that's the thing. We're already going to get that pay. The payback will happen. You just have to be satisfied that it'll happen with the Hegelian movement of history. Who came up with Sophie Rain? What do you mean, who came up with it? Oh, she does go nude? I thought she doesn't go nude at all. Wait, why did AI say... Are you sure? Oh, God. I gotta do it for the research, guys. I think the nude photos, I heard that they were like fake though. because, like, you know, Vanity Fair apparently interviewed her, said all those photos are fake. And it kind of makes sense. Like, why should she do the nude thing? Because then that would ruin the whole fucking concept. And she wouldn't get those gajillion-dollar whales paying her off. But I don't know. I guess you paid for it, and she does go nude. I don't fucking know. Billy? What's Billy? Is that the YouTube? You need a Chinese phone number. Well, I do have a WeChat account. So does that kind of like convert over? I have Douyin on my Huawei phone. I think you have to have a Chinese cell phone number to have a Douyin account. Okay. I don't know. If you look up North Korean guys when they speak Korean instead of Chinese. Oh. All right, Chevy. I've seen some risky political video on there. I don't know. I guess I'll just try to upload it on anything I can upload it to. But I need to figure out how to do the fucking... I guess I'll ask AI later what they think might be the best stuff to do. Sophie Mountains. I think her real name is like Isabella something. Isabella Blair apparently is her real name. Apparently while she used younger ages like 18 and 21 to protect her privacy, she confirmed that she was 23. So she knows what she's kind of doing, I feel like. Capitalizing on trends that have been created by our friends in Japan, so to speak. Anyway. Strip clubs, you can get sex in the back if you pay enough. Oh, well, there you go. If you get too political on Red Note, it's either someone don't like what you said, report you. I see. I ain't mad for the girl for her huge assets. I actually read Playboy for the articles back in the day. They were quite fascinating. China never invaded Korea. Yeah. I mean, I get that. South Koreans did this, but you have Chinese retards using the same talking points on North Korea. Oh, yeah. Well, those people are fucking retarded. I mean, you know, I do have critiques on, you know, even Mao, right? The Cultural Revolution. The Red Guards killed a lot of ethnic Koreans in Manchuria. Like fucking retards. 100% sure I've seen her nude. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to edit my documentary. Reports from a researcher of OnlyFans told me that actually she does pose fully nude if you pay for it. Even saying Korea as a whole should be annexed by China. Well, that's just fucking retarded. I mean, there are a lot of retarded Chinese ultras. You know, Taiwanese Trotsky is one of them. They're not actually Marxist-Leninists. They're just fucking... Well, they're just LARPing as Marxist-Leninists, but they're really just fascists who are admiring just China's will to power. Yeah, Taiwanese Trotsky is a fucking fascist. I said it. Let's see. Just like we have retarded takes by South Koreans. Yeah, exactly. Like that's everyone's gonna have retards. You know. That's the whole essence of my theories. Everyone's gonna have retards. You know, when I talk about black on Asian violence or, you know, or just identity politics in general, it's just like the reason it all falls apart is that every group has retards. You know, Zionists weren't the majority of the Jewish people when they first started out. There was a very small minority, and you know, they managed to circumvent everything and managed to use the Holocaust for their own ends. And they turned everyone else retarded. Same thing with black people, Chris Rock, he told us 30 years ago there are black people and then there are niggas, niggas got to go. Told us back then, 30 years ago. And yeah, they just ruined it for everyone else and convinced more people to become fucking ruiners for everything else. Right? It's just every group has their own fucking retards. If you want to upload your Billy is probably your best bet. Might have built-in subtitle. All right. I'll look into it. Thanks, Core 6 Beaver. When she was on the Bop House, she would participate in showers where she goes nude, but you have to pay money. Interesting. So what was all that stuff I read? Maybe I have to read those fucking articles more closely. I was getting a lot of my information off AI, to be honest. So you might be right. I just, didn't want to pay Sophie Rain money to find out. That's for sure. They tried thanks to Great Taizong. Goguryeo is apparently Chinese, according to Chinese retards. Yeah, they're retarded. That's what Taiwanese Trotsky is. He's a fucking ultra. He's a fucking Han nationalist. He's always fucking talking all the time about, like, if you're a foreigner, you're not really Chinese. I'm just kind of like, God, what? Shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Fucking retard. God. It's like so fucking annoying. God, what a fucking insufferable piece of shit. It's just like my friend just sends me his tweets from time to time. It's just like him just saying the most fucking annoying shit. It's like there's just nothing but like, you suck because you're not me. That's his entire fucking feed. There's like absolutely no like humility whatsoever. And then he steals my shit. He says Sorosian SJW. Sorosian? He fucking stole that from me. He just steals my shit. Puts it, tries to pass it off as his own, and then fucking tries to like talk shit about me behind the scenes to all these fucking communists. What a fucking piece of shit. He's so fucking annoying. God. Now, I would pay money to see me fucking fight Zhang Yu. That would be something I would pay money for. I would pay money to make that fucking happen. Got that, Zhang Yu, little bitch? I know you try to like fucking start shit with Brian Ho all the time because he's a skinny ass piece of fucking shit cuck, and he looks like I could beat 20 of my Brian Hoes at once. Obviously you're gonna challenge that fucking retard. Come, fucking pull up, you little bitch. That's right. That's fucking right. Talk a big game about being fucking tough. I'll fucking kick the shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. God damn. That is a motherfucker that needs to get fucking... I don't want to get kicked off YouTube, but anyway. Anyhow, yeah, Zhang Yu seems like a weasel. Well, he is. He's a fucking scumbag. He's a fucking... He collaborated with fucking Nazis to like try to destroy me. And I'm gonna fucking reveal that at some point when I have more time. But Arthur Kwan Lee is Korean, so he'd actually be tough. Well, but Zhang Yu... That's what I'm saying too. Like, I'm sorry, but Taiwanese people, they're kind of like Chinese Jews in that nobody, Taiwanists are like Zionists, where Nobody's thinking you're tough, bro. Nobody thinks IDF soldiers are actually tough. They only kill children and people who can't defend themselves. Nobody thinks Taiwanese people are tough, bro. Cut the shit with the fucking LARP. Cut the shit with the fucking rapper shit. Are you fucking joking me? Get the fuck out of here with your fake tough guy bullshit. Fucking veneer. You're not a fucking tough guy at all. You aren't about that tough guy life. You didn't even fucking do military, so you did civil fucking service in Taiwan? Little bitch. You can't even fucking do military, sir. You gotta do the fucking fake ass civil servant fucking bullshit. Get the fuck out of my face trying to challenge people to fight. Yeah, challenge Brian Ho like the fucking stick figure fucking cuck. Yeah, I could challenge that guy when I was fucking 12 years old. He's a fucking piece of shit. Good. Oh, wow, you're a fucking tough guy. God, he's so fucking annoying. Anyway. Anyhow, trust but verify. Trust but verify the AI. Yeah, you know. Anyhow, it is almost 2 hours, so about to leave. Wait. Gamer Jame says, was in a conversation today where a couple people were insisting that humanity is incapable of ever getting better, but I think we could be so much more if we weren't trapped and pitted against each other by capitalism. I think, that's why I read stuff like philosophy. I kind of trace where these ideas even come from. The idea that, these optimistic and pessimistic ideas. And what you're talking about is basically very similar to what bourgeois intellectuals like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche have said. They said that there is no meaning to history. Events just happen randomly. They just repeat. The same shit repeats over and over again. That's eternal recurrence, right? Now, never mind the fact that there's no objective basis for Nietzsche's theory on eternal recurrence or anything like that. It's just like an idea, a nice idea he has, right? That life just happens over and over again. And if you were to imagine yourself to live the same life over and over again, is it a life you would want to live over and over again? And so you should make it a life that you would want to live over and over again, right? So this kind of creates this idea that there is no rationality to existence at all, which feeds into that idea of humanity is incapable of ever getting better, because objectively speaking, it has gotten better, right? Like, I know that there are all these evils of capitalism, whatever, and that culminated obviously in World War II and all these fucking atrocities. But you have to remember that before then, like in feudalism, what we think are atrocities are kind of like par for the course. They're like, yeah, there were terrible things that happened. And maybe they were, done on a scale that we never imagined before with like, industrialized, murder of people or rape, right? With the comfort women or the Holocaust or whatever. But in terms of actual moral kind of progress, like feudalism, there was a lot of shit that happened to the average person under feudalism that was much worse than what it does to the average person under capitalism. So I would say that, like, this idea that humanity is incapable of never getting better is a very limited view of humanity to really the only past 100 to 200 years or so. Instead of like kind of like capturing, okay, what is the whole fucking history of humanity, and to feudalism's credit, there was stuff that happened, in the ancient slavery shit. Of course, we don't hear about it because we only hear about the Platos and the the Marcus Aureliuses of the world. But for the average fucking slave in those places, life sucked. The average person was a fucking slave, So I would counter with the fact that no, if you look at actual history from actual civilization history for the past 10,000 years, um, you will see that humanity has improved. Now, you know, and I would say that although the Soviet Union fell, right, in 1991, there was China to pick up the mantle, right? If China never existed, I would agree that things would look pretty dark right now. Things would look pretty bad. I don't know, maybe they would devolve back into a form of feudalism, like a neo-technical feudalism, which is kind of like the same thing as fascism, if you think about it. Fascism is generally basically the takeover of government by finance capitalism, right? So basically, the bankers are in control. The bankers have power. Bankers have near despotic power, right? And so that's basically the same organizational structure as feudalism. But during the 1600s, during the 1700s, Europeans finally got rid of feudalism, right? They started to be like, I don't like this system where the entire state is based on the subjectivity of one person. And so they had these bourgeois revolutions, like the Glorious Revolution 1688, French Revolution 1789, the partial bourgeois revolution of 1848 for Germany, though they were kind of not, they were still semi-feudal until kind of like 1870 when they were united under Bismarck. And then, you know, obviously China kind of had its own bourgeois revolution in the 1912s when the KMT formed, Sun Yat-sen's nationalizing stuff. That was somewhat of a bourgeois revolution. And so it kind of transferred the power from one kind of king or one despot into the class of bourgeois. But then now, fascism is when this power, which was previously split among all these people, now is getting concentrated in the wealth of fewer and fewer people, and it's kind of reverting back to that feudalistic, despotistic sort of organization. Anyway, I'm not Korean, but I fuck with Doug. Thanks. That's the thing, like obviously, clearly, I'm not like this Korean nationalist. I have fucking Ho Chi Minh's. I glaze Ho Chi Minh all the time. I'm a Vietnam fan. But yeah, even Hank, you can. Oh man, oh man, and it's just like so. It's just so cringe, man. It's just like he tries to like pass himself off as this kind of like proletarian gangster rapper. And I'm like, bro, like, first of all, that gangster rap aesthetic, it died in the 1990s, or 2000s, really. Kanye pretty much destroyed that. Kanye and then Drake really kind of destroyed that whole gangsta rap image as being the end all be all of rap, and then later kind of like Kendrick Lamar, etc., etc. So even in America, that shit sucks. This aesthetic, like, you present yourself as this all knowledgeable shit about Soviet and Chinese history and whatever. You should lean into that and be more of kind of like a, an intellectual, funny sort of rapper. But no, you insist on this fucking weird, stupid fucking aesthetic, trying to be this tough guy. But hey, I don't know. Maybe talking about the 228 incident for the 50th time is going to convince, Taiwanese people to reunite with China. Maybe that's gonna work, right? Because everything you've been doing is so productive and so effective in changing the attitudes of Taiwanese people. The place where you live in right now, you're so good at changing that's why they're reuniting with China, right? That's the reason, right? Even Rich Brian, yeah, exactly. Even Rich Brian doesn't fucking do that fucking lame shit anymore. What does my shirt say? Is that a dragonfly? This is a, I think it says B. I'm not, I don't know in Chinese. I think it says just B, and this is a B. This was in Breaking Bad. These were on the bottles of methylamine. So this is kind of a Breaking Bad shirt. In the laboratory, the big bottles of methylamine that they had, that these would be on those. So it just says B because this thing is a B, and they say I need the barrel with the B on it. It's just in Breaking Bad. This was just on the barrel. This graphic was on the barrel that had methylamine on it. So that's where it comes from. It's just Breaking Bad thing. China's basically a fortune of nature. No Western tarred countries can control. Honestly, it's a matter of time for China's rise. Yeah. I give props to Young for dunking Carl by saying China is using N. Who's Young? North Korea as a buffer state. Who's Young? Props to Young? Wait, when was this? Would have been better if it said Mi Fang, the M for meth, Young Kim from KTSC. Oh. Oh, that very passionate talk, by that was so fucking awkward too, bro. I was like, oh god, they gotta fucking translate into Korean and then translate back into English when they're talking to him and then translate back into Korean for their on. I'm like, this is the worst fucking interview ever. You could see it on Carl's face too. He was like, what the fuck am I doing here? What the fuck did this Roy Chung retard rope me into to fucking dunk on his retard friend Doug? For a retard enemy Doug or whatever. I was probably going through his head the entire time. Like, God, what this fucking retard Zhang Yu roped me into trying to dunk on Doug. Jesus Christ. What am I doing here? It's so funny. It's just so fucking funny. And you know what's even funnier? Is that he talks all this shit about like Chinese people should take care of Chinese stuff. Cuban people should take care of Cuban stuff. You shouldn't comment on other people's countries when your own country is full of shit or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm sorry, you are mostly on English-based social media talking ostensibly mostly to a Western audience, because you ain't talking to Chinese people. You ain't talking to their fellow Taiwanese people in this, because that's what you say all the time. If you're on a fucking Western social media, guess who you're talking to? You're talking to Westerners. So you spend all your fucking time talking to Westerners about what their countries are doing wrong. And then the minute they want to comment on another person's country, you're fucking down their throats. I'm like, your entire fucking existence is predicated on Western recognition. Like, nobody in China gives a fuck about you. No one in Taiwan gives a fuck about you. So your entire audience is white Westerners. The people you talk to are in Western countries. They're not in Taiwan. They're not in China. So you're fucking full of shit. You're a fucking hypocrite. You don't even know what you're fucking talking about most of the time. So completely out of his depth. Like, especially when it comes to philosophy, when it comes to ideology, when it comes to metaphysics. Holy shit, he's retarded. He doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about some basic Marxist theory. You know, that's why it's called Taiwanese Trotsky, because he gets basic stuff about Marxist theory wrong, too. He's just a fucking ultra. And he just knows some fucking Chinese history that, again, who the fuck cares about that? You know? Past the Qing dynasty, I mean, it's not really relevant to today. But, you know. Thought he could fool us like the whiteoids. And Carl is so fucking, he is the quintessential like libtard. Like he would be one of those fucking boba liberal women, you know? He's fucking libtarded to the max. And not like his ass moved to China himself. Guess where he moved to? He moved to CIA Indonesia. Right? Kind of capitalizing on that Japanese war crime and comfort women situation over there, huh? What, you couldn't move back to China and find a appropriate Chinese wife? Oh, I wonder why. Maybe at the age of 40, you couldn't find a wife. Maybe because a Chinese woman at 20 probably wouldn't have married you when you were 40. I don't know. Was that the reason, Carl? Couldn't move back to actual China, the place where you're, you know, supposedly glazing all the time for being so great, whatever, and then you fucking move to Indonesia. A known playground for Westerners with a certain type of mind virus. That's interesting. That's fucking interesting. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just a crazy Korean American. I'm just a crazy Gyopo who doesn't even know Korean that well, doesn't know a lick of Chinese. What the fuck do I know? Well, all right. I've been yapping for a long time. Any last words? 30 seconds, etc., etc. This will be the last time, probably maybe for 2 weeks. So, you know, get any sort of, you know, I'll obviously be on Discord or whatever, but, yeah, I mean, Amanda Yee, PSL Amanda, the PSL that was just fucking outed for spying on their fucking members. That's right, PSL and Amanda Yee, WMF Amanda Yee, and all these fucking retards. They all fucking came after me, and one by one, they all were revealed to be a fucking WMF retard. I would say the next likely... There's a chance I might stream 2 weeks from now. But the most likely time that I will stream will be 50-50 chance for this Sunday. And then, if not that Sunday, 2 weeks from that Sunday. But yeah, obviously I'll be available on Discord if you want to get in touch or whatever. And maybe Twitter too if I decide I don't want to wait anymore. I don't know how long this fucking appeal thing is going to take, but whatever. I'm just using this time to write and concentrate. All right. I'll see you guys later. And take care. See ya.